All right, welcome back, and let's jump right in before I accidentally start some other VM I was looking at. Let's go. Prologue, sits me. In front of the outpatient reception desk on the first floor. Attached to the floor, many colors of plastic tape. Red, blue, green. They led the way to various departments. Out of those, I followed the white tape. Walking about 30 meters on the right, the shop comes into sight. Across from that was the smoking room. On the left is the waiting room for surgical examination. If you continue to the end, there is a small elevator. I get on that and press the button for the highest floor. 7th floor. Before my eyes was the nurses' station. Altogether, a number of nurses looked this way. But once they recognized me, their eyes turned back as if they saw nothing. They returned to their work. High ceilings, windows that only opened 15 centimeters. This was a white, well-lit, sterile place. And I head towards the lounge at the end of the hall on the left. A large television, a long couch, decorating the window sills were a number of flowers. Fitting the summer, the mini sunflowers in vases and the gerbera daisies in the flower pots were blooming colorfully. Those were all familiar things. How many years has it been since I come here? What's different from then were my clothes, changing from sailor uniforms to pajamas. Besides that, the bracelet on my hand, from blue to white, was just about the only other change. You. Turning back towards the voice that called, it was a middle-aged lady. Her pajamas and bracelet color says she was a resident of this place. Are you visiting someone or a patient from another floor? That's not it. While shaking my head, I show my own bracelet. I see. The lady replied uncomfortably. I felt the nuance behind those words. And so young. What a shame. Of course, I've had similar experiences so often it was tiring. I haven't lived almost 10 years like this for nothing. It was just, I never thought to have a fellow resident of the 7th floor also turn eyes of pity towards me. By the way, which time are you on? What's this? For here, coming to the 7th floor? For an instant, I had no idea what she was asking. But before I could ask a new question, it looks like this is your first time. With that, she just up and acted like she understood the situation. Well then, I'll teach you too. So, listen carefully, okay? First, in this place called the 7th floor. Even though I haven't replied, the lady just continued speaking. There is no 4th time. The 3rd time you're admitted is the last. So, prepare yourself. When you want to run away, head not to Station A, but to Station B. Don't eat anything. It places the least burden upon your family. You spoke about such things, and I was made to hear other things that would give one pause. Most likely it was something only the residents of this 7th floor, only those who were headed towards that, continued passing on. So, you understand? Once the lady went through her whole explanations, somehow I thought her complexion looked better. To tell someone young like you, it's upsetting. But this is also the rule. So don't be angry, okay? With that, the lady left the lounge. Her parting words were, you tell new people too, okay? Burning sunlight and the sound of cicadas. A summer sky seen from windows that can't open more than 15 centimeters. Today also looked like it would be a hot day. Many years since I've come to the 7th floor, the first that I've come as a resident of this place. And the rules I had been taught. In practice, they were probably passed down only among those who resided here. But a number of them I had already known. Maybe it was such that day. The fact that I would face a day like today.
予感していたのかもしれない。響き渡る鐘の音。物心つく前から私はこの音と共にあった。お姉ちゃん何よ千尋、そんなに息切らせて。だってほら、そろそろ急がないと。ってまたそんな格好して。あ、どうかした？もうドロドロで真っ黒じゃないの。別にいいでしょ、作業服なんだから汚れて当然じゃない。昨日洗濯したところなのに。はいはい、悪かったわね。
My little sister gave the usual grease stains a sulking look as she complained. It was the scene of a casual everyday exchange before the door on a Sunday.
あ、それよりもミサ、急がないと遅れちゃうよ。あら、もうそんな時間なのね。ささ、早く着替えて教会行きましょうね。やっぱりパス。また？ダメだよ。お姉ちゃんって普段から行ってないんだから。せめて日曜日だけは行かないと。バカね千尋、せっかくの日曜日だからこそサボるのよ。もうまたそんなへりくつ言って。まあまあ、神様だって多めに見てくれるわよ。こんな天気のいい日はさ。天気関係ないわよ。それにどうせ今日も車いじりしてるだけのくせに。それじゃお母さんたちにもよろしくね。あ、こら、お姉ちゃんたら。
In the garage next to the house, I strongly raised the shutters.
さて、今日も始めましょうか。
Perhaps because it was closed off, the garage was stiflingly hot. Immediately, I turned towards my beloved car under maintenance, purchased just a month earlier. One might call it a restoration, but really, it was work to simply get it to run properly. First, instead of calling the chassis retro, the word scrap would fit better. Such was the age and condition of the car. However, thanks to that, I've lately been spending the weekends inside the garage.
姫子、いる？あ、こっちこっち。どうしたの？こんな場所まで。近くまで来たからついでに寄ったんだけどさ。って何あなた、真っ黒じゃないの。ああ、昨日からオイルパンの交換やってたから。オイルパン？これがまた大変だったのよ。っていうか、素人でここまでできる人は少ないわね。いや、パンだかご飯だか知らないけどさ。ほら見て、この自作ハンガーなんて大したもんでしょ。でもやっぱウィンチがないから苦労したわ。さ、姫子、車好きもいいけどさ、年頃の娘が真っ黒になってガレージに入り浸ってるってどうよ。あ、もしかして変？もしかしなくても変。まあいいじゃない。私はね、ゆかみたいなヒラヒラの服よりこっちの方が好きなのよ。はいはい、あんたは昔っからそうよね。
She replied in a weary voice. Her name was Yuka. She lived nearby, and since long ago, we often spent time together. However, our interests and personalities were polar opposites. And yet, we got along for some reason. It might have been exactly because our interests and personalities were different that we got along.
もし親友と呼ばれる存在があるなら、私にとっては必 女がそれだった。でもさ、姫子も物好きよね。せっかくの初任給をこんなボロ車に使うなんてさ。こら、ボロ車じゃなくてユーノスって言ってよ。それにこの方って古くても結構人気あるのよ。へえ、そうなの？おかげで今から冬のボーナスまでローン地獄よ。しくしくまあまあ、それよりも早く直してドライブでも連れてってよ。おそらく来週には走れると思うわ。はい、決まり。じゃあ早速来週でも。ってそうだ、あなた日曜日は無理だったわね。ああ、別にいいわよ。でも教会あるでしょ。大丈夫よ、もう最近は全然行ってないし。所詮私はエセカトリックよ。こらこら、そんなこと言っていいの？ええ、偶然家が教会の隣だったってだけだし。ただいま。おかえり。遅かったわね、千尋。元気ないみたいだけど、もしかして7回帰り？担当の人が3回目だから。そっか。じゃあいろいろと大変だね。
The seventh floor. That is, the hospital's hospice. Hospice, generally known as the palliative care ward. Essentially not a normal ward, but one for patients on their final treatment options. A ward with mental care as a primary focus. For us, as Catholics, volunteering as helpers had been very natural. Every day after college, my sister would head straight to the hospital. In her, I could see myself up to a few years ago. はい。コーヒー入れてあげたわよ。ありがとう。ねえ、お姉ちゃんはもうしないの？しないのって、ヘルパー？今はどの病院も人手が足らなくて大変なんだよ。そう。でも、私はもういいわ。あなたと違って、私は大学の単位が欲しくて言ってただけだし。もう、またそんなこと言って。別に嘘じゃないわよ。それよりさ、私は千尋の方が心配よ。私が？ええ。あなたみたいな子に務まる場所じゃないってこと。My sister fell silent on those words, but those were also my honest feelings. Anyway, I knew from my own experiences how useless superficial resolve was. In a way. Oh, I think it's in a way, right? That's in a way. I read it's in a way, but like, in a way, whatever. It's kind of weird when you have something like that going on. At the least, for a kind, good girl like Chihiro, I knew that it would be painful to be a hospice helper. で、どうなの？今の様子は。初めての7階だからまだ慣れてなくて、それに今の担当の人って3回目だからもう長くないみたい。そうね。どんなに入退院を繰り返したとしても4回目はないはずよ。That wasn't something the hospital publicly said. However, even without saying, if you were involved with the place, you'd learn it whether you like it or not. ねえ、お姉ちゃん、神様は一体何をやっているんだろう。さあ、忙しいんでしょうね。Prologue Himiko 4 Roadster. A few days later, when the main repairs on the Unos were finished, we went out for a drive. さすがにいい走りするわ。ちょっと姫子、そんなにスピード出さないでよ。全然安全運転じゃない。あなたはそうかもしれないけど、ペーパーの私にはドキドキもんなのよ、その運転は。
ードスター最高。
We'll be right back. Alright, I'm back.
って聞きなさいよ、人の話を。それとさ、何よこの車。どうしたの？なんで屋根がないのよ。いやだってそういうもんなんだもん。じゃないわよ。風で髪がくしゃくしゃになっちゃったでしょ。おバカさんね。オープンの醍醐味がわからないなんて。そんな醍醐味年頃の女の子に不要よ。せっかく1時間もかけておしゃれにセットしたのに。
The sun was still high, and the Yunos ran under the reflection cool the sky before the rainy season. Soon after leaving the long mountain road, a deep blue sea spread wide. Sea route continued endlessly. From nearby came crashing of waves and seagull calls. Even the phoenix palms planted by the beach houses, each and every one was tall. It felt like visiting Saturn Islands, Saturn lands.
じゃあちょっと休憩しようか。はい、缶コーヒー。ありがとう。
As if she had gotten out of the bat, Yuka had her hand on her hip and gulped down the canned coffee in one go. She was always decked out in frills, but what shows through occasionally was Yuka's true personality. And then, while holding our cans of coffee, we walked out to the beach before us.
ここは綺麗なところだね。潮風も気持ちいいし、人もいないし。姫子、よく知ってたわね。ああ、まあどこか知らないけど。はい？いや、言葉の通りなんだけど。ちょっと待ちなさい。どうして運転してたあなたが知らないのよ。実は適当に走ってたら偶然たどり着いただけだったりして。それって今まで気の向くままに走ってただけってこと？そんな感じかな。信じらんない。つかちゃんと家まで帰れるかも心配だけど、こんなドライブに一日付き合わされた私も信じらんない。まあなんとかなるから多分。
We then spread out some newspaper on the beach and started to eat the lunch we bought at a convenience store along the way. To be honest, bringing our own lunches would have fit the ideal better, but both of our best dishes, hard-boiled eggs, couldn't be called extravagant. At the least, we should have bought a sheep.
でもさ、姫子。何？ナビがないならせめて地図くらい持ちなさいよね。でもな、この気ままな感じも好きなのよね。じゃあせめてその格好はやめなさいよ。なんでよ。私作業服好きなのに。ダメ。隣の私もなんか恥ずかしいから。機能的なのにな。機能よりも美しさを優先してよ。
While we chatted, the two of us continued to eat our lunches. Pines swayed in the salt breeze, and the large phoenix palm stood tall. Occasionally seagulls came near. Though it was such an utterly perfect place. How should I say? The image of newspaper mats, Yuka's frilly clothing, my work overalls was all so out of place that was laughable.
ねえ、また来週来ようか。いやよ。即答された。だってさ、何が悲しくて毎週女二人でドライブばっかなのよ。だってこれ二人乗りなんだもん。そういう問題じゃないでしょ。まあ寂しいもん同士ってことで。悔しいけど反論できないわ。
Around when the sun had been so high was hazing over, and everything that could be seen was dyed orange. Once again, the Yunos drove on. We had played at the beach and now took up a quick route home. Today had been a fun day. While thinking that, I gripped the wheel.
でもさ、最近あなたって全然行ってないでしょ、教会。千尋ちゃんもぼやいてたわよ。最近お姉ちゃんは全然来てくれないって。ねえ、たまには顔出したら？大丈夫よ。それに以前も言ったでしょ。所詮私はエセカトリックだって。だから大丈夫なの。姫子？さて、そんなわけで来週もドライブ決定ね。ああ、今度はお弁当も持ってこようか。そんで今日よりも遠くを目指してみましょうよ。はいはい、分かったわよ。しょうがないから付き合ってあげる。ありがとう。さすが親友ね。
Prologue Himiko 5 Hospital.
それから1週間後、教会には日曜学校へと向かう人があふれ、先週の予定ではロードスターで海へと向かっているはずだった頃、私の姿は病院のベッドの上にあった。
Don't tell me she got into an accident.
はい、お姉ちゃん、リンゴ剥いたよ。ありがとう。あんたも食べなさいよ。好きでしょ？重かった。姫子、ほら、買ってきてあげたわよ。
Unless she always been like this, you know.
悪かったわね。下の売店じゃ売ってなかったのよ、その本。別に構わないけどさ、次からはもうちょっと薄い本にしてくれる？それと、あんまりマニアックな本はやめてよね。レジ持っていくのはずいから。別にモーターサイクリストやアメ車マガジンは普通の本だと思うけど、私にとっては違うの。まあ2人ともここは廃部屋だからあんまり騒いじゃダメだって。ああ、そうだったわね。ごめん。
Two people who came to visit me. Nothing need to be said about Chihiro. But even looking like this, Yuka had been the first to rush over. Even before, when I'd been in bed with a cold, complaining all the while, she'd be at my side taking care of me. She wasn't the most true to herself, but she really was very kind. That was my best friend. おいしいわね、このメロン。ちょっと、あんた見舞いなんだからそんなガツガツ食べないでよ。別にいいじゃない、いっぱいあるんだし。でもさ、いきなり入院って聞いた時は驚いたわよ。私もびっくりした。なのに急いで駆けつけてみたら、ピンピンしてて拍子抜けよね。こら、あんたが言わないでよ。だってみんなそんな顔してるんだもん。そういえば千尋ちゃん、他の人は？会社の人とかたくさん来てたんだけど、さっき帰っちゃった。ちなみに手ぶらで見舞いに来たのはあなただけよ。うるさいわね。変な本買ってきてあげたでしょうが。あれはちゃんと代金渡したからお使いであって、お見舞いの差し入れとは言えないわね。相変わらずへりくつを。でもね、やっぱ嬉しいもんよ。毎日会っているような相手でもこうやってお見舞いに来てくれるとさ。メロンも持ってきてもらえるしね。たまには病気も悪くないかな。 Himiko 6 Summer.
それから数ヶ月、気の早いセミが鳴く頃、春には毎日のように来ていたお見舞いの人がほとんど姿を見せなくなった頃、
Damn, this is a story we're familiar with.
相変わらず私は病院のベッドの上にいた。 今日も暑いな。お姉ちゃん、もう食べ終わった？そろそろトレイを返す時間なんだけど。私こういうの苦手なのよね。あ、またブロッコリー残してるし。千尋、それより売店でアイス買ってきてよ。ダメだよ。決められたもの以外は控えなさいって言われてるんだから。まあまあ、固いこと言わないでよ。ダメ。それでなくてもこの前先生に注意されたところなのに。はーい、わかりました。もう返事だけはいいんだから。いいことお姉ちゃん。また勝手に売店で買ってきちゃダメだからね。わかってるって。それじゃあ私そろそろ行くね。あ、もしかしてえ？あ、うん、7階。そっか、あなたも無理しないようにね。お姉ちゃんもね。あんなに長かった夏が終わりを告げ、夕空に日暮らしの声が響く頃。
You said the line. Sorry.
今も私はここにいた。今日も彼女はこの場所に来ていた。入るわよ。いや、元気そうね。おかげさまでね。よいしょっと。あら、お見舞いの品は？はあ？相変わらず手ぶらのようだけど。なーに言ってるの、当然じゃない。むしろ毎日来てる私を褒めてほしいわ。えらいえらい、なーでなーで。やめなさい。じゃあね、メロン持ってきてくれたら解禁賞あげるわ。いらないわよ。
We had a childish conversation as she sat in the folding chair next to the bed. This scene itself by now was becoming a familiar one.
はあ、せっかくの日曜なのにな。悪いわね、ゆか。え？この夏を無駄にさせちゃってさ。別にいいわよ。もともと予定があったわけでもないし、いつもついでできてるだけなんだし。その、もうさっさと元気になりなさいよ。またドライブでも何でも付き合ってあげるから。だからそれ以上彼女の声は私の耳に届かなかった。暮れる空に響く日暮らしに消されて聞こえなかった。ここに来て早3ヶ月。突然のことに自分自身まだ現実ってのが実感できなかった。
Alright, let's enter Himiko to O3. Prologue, Himiko 07, those two.
気づけば木々の色が赤く染まり、病院での生活もすっかり慣れた頃、私を訪ねてくる人は完全に途絶えても、今も私はここにいた。今日もあの二人はこの場所に来ていた。はい、お姉ちゃん、今日はプリン付きだよ。そう、でも今は欲しくない。千尋、あんた食べなさいよ。プリン好きでしょ。ダメ、これはお姉ちゃんの食事なんだから自分でちゃんと食べないと。じゃあこれ食べたら売店で肉まん買ってきてくれる？もう変な交換条件出さないでよ。よっ、元気そうね。あ、ゆかさん。何？今日もまた好き嫌いでただこねてるの？うん、お姉ちゃんたらしょうがないのよ。こら、千尋ちゃん困らせるんじゃないわよ。たく、あんただけはしょうがないわね。 トレーの角で叩かなくても。ほらさっさと食べる食べる。無理やり口の中に入れちゃうわよ。分かったって。さっきのも冗談で言っただけなんだから。まだなんか言ってるのはこの口かって。こらやめなさいってじゃあお姉ちゃん、私そろそろ時間だから。先生たちにもよろしくね。千尋ちゃん、まだ続けてるんだ。今7階担当だから大変だと思うわ。そっか。確かそこってホスピスだったよね。
I nodded a bit at those words, and then I finally brought up what had been in a corner of my heart for a while now. Because she was who she was, I wanted to tell her first.
ねえゆか、もしもいつか私も7階に入ったとしたら。ちょっと何縁起でもないこと言ってんのよ。聞いて。もし私が7階に行った時はもうお見舞いには来ないでね。
At those words, Yuka hung her head. Even for me, I don't want to see her sad face either. But if it really came to be that I were to go to the 7th floor, it would only get more and more sad. To see Yuka that way was the only thing I didn't think I could bear.
バカ！何言ってるのよ。むしろ毎日でも言ってやるわ。皆勤賞ものよ。もちろん手ぶらでお見舞いなんて絶対に持っていかないんだから。だからそんなこと言わないでよ。ゆか。
In that small room, her sobs hung in the air. All the years we've been together, when, however much we chatted all night, we had never run out of things to talk about. But for the girl crying right now, I could find no words. Himiko, Winter.
吹く風が心地よいから冷たいへとか、いつものようにここへとやってくる二人。でもある日を境に、ごちそうさま。あ、ちゃんとブロッコリーも食べたんだね。
Hey then, let her be over there, uneven.
まあ本当は嫌いなんだけど。ねえ、他に何か欲しいものない？売店のアイスが欲しいわね。ついでに肉まんも欲しかったりして。分かった、すぐ買ってくる。冗談のつもりだったのに、今までどんなに頼んでもダメだったのに。
Oh shit, don't tell me. He already knows.
ただいま。はい、ダッシュで買ってきたよ。ほら、まだ温かいから美味しいよ。アイスは冷蔵庫に名前書いて入れておいたから。そう、ありがとう。他にも欲しいものあったら言ってね。それで早く元気になってまた一緒に教会行こうね。千尋、あなた口調がヘルパーになってるわよ。どうやらそういうことのようね。別にそんな。隠さなくていいわ。私だって伊達にやってなかったんだから。お姉ちゃん。 年以上入院してたから、そろそろかなって思ってたしね。驚き、悲しみ、怒り、やるせない、寂しい。もしこの時の感情を一言で表すなら、よくわからない。人は受け入れがたい現実に出会った時、自分自身のことですら客観視できるのかもしれない。
Himeko 09 Christmas。
冬の冷たい風が吹き、テレビにクリスマスソングが流れ出す頃、こんな時にもずっとそばにいてくれる二人。まだ私自身告知されていないけど、7階へと行く日はそう遠くないのだろう。メリークリスマス。はいはい、メリークリスマス。ほらお姉ちゃん、ケーキ買ってきたよ。あら、おいしそうね。って何いきなり食べてるのよ。いいじゃないよ、いっぱいあるんだから。こら、当然のようにイチゴ取るんじゃないわよ。ちょっとゆかさん、ちゃんと皿に分けるから。はーい。美味しかったね。そうね、ほとんどゆかが一人で食べ尽くしたけど。何よ、今日みたいな日にまで来たんだから、これくらいいいでしょ。本当なら今頃は素敵なイブを満喫してる頃なのに。嘘ばっかり。どうせ相手なんていないくせに。悔しいけど反論できないわ。あとお姉ちゃん、これクリスマスプレゼント、マフラー編んでみたの。あんまりうまくないかもしれないけど。ありがとうね、千尋。ほんと、姫子にはもったいない、よくできた妹よね。うるさいわね。相変わらず手ぶらのあんたが何言ってるのよ。まあ二人とも。
A common everyday exchange. A kind sister, a best friend with a mouth, laughing over silly things. The picture of the many normal days that had passed over the years. The difference was that today was Christmas, and this is the hospital's 5th floor. And soon, I will be headed to the 7th.
じゃあさ、千尋、ついでにもう一つ欲しいものがあるんだけど、いいかな？何？ユーノス、持ってきて。車庫にあると思うから。でもお姉ちゃん、悪いわね。どうしても乗りたいのよ。
Opening the curtains, I gaze out at the city at night from the 5th floor window. In that clear winter sky, even the large face of the moon shone. And soon, this view, I'll probably see it from a higher place. I'll probably be gazing from a window that can only open 15 centimeters.
いいわよ。持ってきてあげる。ゆかさん。さすが親友ね。クリスマスくらい手ぶらじゃ悪いと思っただけよ。じゃあ行くわよ。ええ。ねえ、寒くない？激寒よ。やっぱりこの季節は向いてないわね。バカ、乗る前に気づきなさいよ。まあそうよね。ゆか、前の場所に行きたいんだけどさ、 あの海？でも自信ないよ。ナビも地図もないし。別にいいわよ。好きなように走りなさい。クリスマスの夜は長いんだからさ。そうね。名も知れぬ道を走るロードスター。暗い夜空が少しずつ白み出す頃、
Oops.
どうしてこんなことをしたくなったんだろうか。その厳密な理由は自分でもわからなかった。
Crashing the waves could be heard. Unchanged from that spring day, the phoenix palm stood still. And just when the dark night gave way to the dawn, before we knew it, we arrived at that place.
着いたわね。本当よく無事に着いたもんね。どう？悪くないでしょう。私の運転もこの車も。まあ寒いの除けばね。そうだ、缶ジュース買ってきてあげる。暑い、すごい暑いわね、この自販機。姫子、あんたコーヒーでよかったっけ？じゃあミルクティーにする？もう早く決めてよ。120円とはいえ私がおごるなんてめったにないんだからさ。ほら、何でもいいから欲しいの言ってよ。何でも？じゃあ地図が欲しいかも。地図？地図ってあの地図のこと？代わりにユーノスあげるから。大切にして。バカ！そんな悲しいこと急に言わないでよ。あのね、どうやら私7回行きみたいなんだ。もしかしたら罰が当たったのかもしれない。だからさ、よかったらもらってくれる？無理だよ。私には受け取れないよ。それでね、ゆか、前にも言ったけど、お見舞いには来ないでほしいの。あなたがそんな顔すると私も辛いから。響き渡る鐘の音。教会に日曜学校へと向かう人があふれ、冬の寒さが本格的になった日、私の手首に巻いた腕輪は青から白へと変わった。結局ユーノスは受け取ってもらえなかったけど、翌日私の手元には地図が届いた。どうしてこんなものを欲しがったのか。やはりその厳密な理由は自分でもわからなかった。ただそれ以来彼女と会うことはなかった。彼女の皆勤賞は そこで止まった。
Alright, I'll be right back. Right back. Let's continue the 15th summer.
眩しかった日のこと。そんな夏の日のこと。
Early summer 2004. Burning sunlight. The sound of cicadas. Today also looked like it would be a hot day. The third summer I'd faced since the day I was first hospitalized. Of course, it's not like I was hospitalized the whole time. There were days interrupted with home and outpatient care.
半年前だろうか。最後に来てくれたのは。
The time I spent wearing pajamas slowly grew. And as if in direct proportion, the number of people who came to visit me shrank. At first, classmates came to visit me every day. People that were once called friends. But now, they had turned into acquaintances. Even if I meet them on the street, they'd leave after exchanging a few words of greeting. Soon, those acquaintances will turn to strangers, while someday I'll probably be erased from their memories.
どうやらいい気がしないのだろう。普通に生きてる人にとって私の存在ってのは。
Even if they meet me, it probably doesn't raise their spirits. The same probably goes for thinking about me.
だから消すことにしたのだと思う。
Despite that, whenever the end of the school day came, every day I continued to watch for someone to come. And then, after half of a year of waiting, I stopped looking outside. Finally, I learned to close the curtains, accepted the fact. Guess at the reason.
3年もかけて私にも分かるようになった。
It's not that they had forgotten about me. It seemed they made as if from the start they never knew me, never saw me, as if there had nothing there to begin with.
彼らもまた目をつぶっていたいのかもしれない。
Around when I was being admitted in and out of the hospital, when people had already stopped coming to visit me, and I had most likely been erased from everyone's memories, my family moved. From a freestanding home we had long lived into an apartment. My mother started working part-time in a nearby takeout lunch shop. The meaning behind it all, even I could understand. Hospital fees were no joke. In the ward, every day, it was a conversation topic for the patients. I came to know how the patients themselves felt the responsibility to their families far more than their families could imagine. And then, the small, old, slightly dirty wooden building that was our new home. On top of being smaller, father's daily commute stretched to over 2 hours. However, the distance I had to take to the hospital became a 3-minute walk. In front of that beat-up, cramped apartment, father said, "The air here is nice and feels good, doesn't it?" Saying that, he smiled, and mother smiled in the same way. Because the heat might aggravate my health, they put an air conditioner in my room, of course. No other room had one. My mother, who had started going to that part-time job, often brought back croquettes and potato fry for me, saying they were leftovers. In that cramped room, we ate together. Always, we smiled happily. It was very painful. Damn. I was thinking about the first story. Alright, let's continue. The thoughtfulness was unbearably painful. Instead of feeling thankful or happy, I was filled with guilt. It's your fault.
きっとそう言ってほしかったのかもしれない。
I wanted them to blame me more. Being treated kindly hurt. I remember uncontrollable feelings of irritation, even anger, towards myself. If God were around, I wanted him to quickly heal me. Or, if that was impossible, to let me die now. Everyone else was in the midst of erasing my existence. But in contrast, my parents sought to make me stand out. That was much more painful. Even as I was being treated kindly, I hated myself for being unable to repay it. I cursed the fact that one of the countless misfortunes in the world happened to fall on me by chance. In such times, smiling and putting on a cheerful air may have been what I was supposed to do. But all I was able to manage was to quietly eat the potato fry that I rarely didn't like very much. The burning sun and cries of the cicadas. When the white, rainy season clouds cleared, it had turned completely into summer. After being readmitted to the hospital for the end time, finally, I was discharged. But that wasn't the end of it. The word discharge also meant until the next time I was admitted, the beginning of a long life of outpatient care. Under the blazing sky today, I again walked the 3 minutes distance in my pajamas. To my mother, who had offered to come along, I replied, "It's all right." In my own way, it was supposed to be out of consideration for her. But the desolate look on her face at my words had also hurt. My feet happened to stop before some school. Most likely, it was an elementary school. Since it was already summer vacation, there weren't many people around in sight. In front of the empty schoolyard, for some reason, I wound up gazing at it, without thinking my feet had stopped. Occasionally, I would see happy children running around and my eyes would follow them. Under the blazing sky, the long sleeve pajamas were hot. I felt strongly out of place gazing at the schoolyard. After standing there for a while, I once again began to walk. However, it wasn't towards the hospital, but home. And once I returned to my room, I took out the sailor uniform that had been in my dresser. Sleeves that I hadn't passed my arms through in 3 years. A just like new uniform. Previously, they had been worn for only a single week. And now, to me, they were the only clothes other than the pajamas I own. Once again walking under the blazing sky, the noisy cicadas and running sweat was the same as just before. But the people who walked by, their eyes did not pause upon me. Even I, as a part of the backdrop of the city, as part of what builds up everyday life, felt accepted. And then, when I entered the schoolyard from earlier, before my eyes was a metal bar for small children to play with. I extended my hands toward it. Placing strength on my arms, I pulled with all my might and kicked at the ground. At a moment's sensation of floating, and my body spins around. So, I guess. Wait, let me screen. I want to screen cap this one. Oh no! What is my screen cap thing doing? Okay, I know it's kind of weird. Did it do it? I think it did. Oh no! I accidentally opened the folder to rewrite. I shouldn't. Too early for that. Anyway, I whispered that aloud for some reason. While I looked around from atop the bar, the strong sunlight made the playground seem white, and the heat made the ground look wavy. Occasionally, I could hear the voices of happy children and the insistent voices of cicadas declaring that summer was their season. With my arms already beginning to shake from supporting my weight, I soaked up the present. Why was it that I suddenly wanted to do this, I wonder? The exact reason, not even I knew. By now, the times I wore anything but pajamas dwindled. The pressure from the need to do otherwise had also disappeared. Did I find that to be sad? Or perhaps I wanted to test if I still had the strength.
私はみんなと同じはず。
Remember, and that by the time we meet her in the first story, she already gave up, man. Should be the same as the normal people who were over there. So, just from a somersault around his bar, I shouldn't be making such a strained face. Because I felt that way, forced myself to make a smile. But just as I was unable to stop shaking my arms, it seemed that too was difficult for me.
ナルキッソス。暑い。
Even though it was still morning, the asphalt was wavy from the heat. Today also looked like it would be a hot day. And in that, as always, I headed towards the hospital alone. Even though I could have gone in pajamas with this distance, when I had to go out, I've come to wear my sailor uniform. Most likely, I was still wavering. How long this wavering will continue, not even I knew. One day, I may suddenly just be able to give up. It was just that I had come to think that the span of 3 years was more than enough for a person to change. Then, passing by that school, as the entrance to the hospital was before my eyes.
ボタン取りかかってる。
In my hand was a small tote bag. I noticed that the button that held the handle was flaying off. I'm not sure how long it had been like that, but coming all this way, I wasn't going to go back home. So I held the bag to my chest and continued towards the hospital. The usual doctor, the usual exchanges, and today's examination ended. When my condition was stable, it was once a week. 3 times a week seemed to be a sign of short hospitalization. When this week's examination was over, as I thought that, I headed towards the exit on the first floor. The doors weren't seeing patients in the afternoon, so the halls were mostly empty. Occasionally, a doctor would walk by with a group of intern-like people in tow. A nurse rushed to the first aid window. A patient, probably under dietary restrictions, was in the shop buying snacks. Their wristband was visible, green, which I heard was for digestive disorders. All of this was just ordinary everyday hospital. And in front of that shop was the first time that I met her.
ねえあなた。え？
Suddenly a bright voice called out to me and surprised me. Turning around before me was the pajama-clad figure of a young girl, a young woman I didn't recognize. I thought it might have been someone I met while I was admitted here. But I didn't recall the face or figure.
何か。それボタン取れかかってるわよ。
As she spoke, she pointed at my tote bag. It might have been a simple act of kindness, but since I had already noted the problem, I had trouble finding a reply.
そうね。そうねってそれだけ？どうも。
As I spoke, I lowered my head a bit. Because I already knew, my reply came out hesitatingly. But even then, it was too difficult to say thank you very much. The young woman that I hadn't seen before, her long black hair and bright voice left an impression. Looking at her slippers, the kind provided by the hospital, she was probably not an outpatient, but admitted. Looking at her thin wrists, her wristband was white. That was a color I haven't seen before.
ねえ直してあげよっか。え、私ソーイングセットも持ってるから。でも。
At her sudden words, I hesitated, but it wasn't over a button that I didn't mean much. These past few years, because my existence was always only being erased, I had absolutely no experience with someone actively trying to relate with me.
いいからいいから。ほらいらっしゃい。大丈夫よ。別に変な場所じゃないから。
With those words, she started walking briskly. And while wrapped in mixed feelings, I followed behind. We got into the elevator. Without a word, she pressed the button for the highest floor. The 7th floor?
あら、もしかして知ってた？それほどは。
The 7th floor, the place they call the hospice. I wasn't too familiar with it, and of course I'd never been there. For one thing, I heard that people not involved with it were barred from entering. It probably meant that if this young woman were headed to the 7th floor, she was a person from there. Soon the elevator reached its stop. Immediately in front of it was the nurses' station. And when the doors opened altogether, the gazes of the nurses turned towards us.
私の知り合いだから。
With that one sentence, they once again went back to their work. No one looked towards us anymore. It was just my first time here. But without putting my finger on it, I thought the atmosphere was especially heavy. The place that the young woman finally took me to looked like a lounge area. It was very different from the 3rd or other floors that had been admitted to. Those didn't have these sofas or the TV.
すぐに直してあげるわね。
With that, she took my tote bag, and with what seemed like a practiced hand, began fixing the button. And like her, I sat down in the sofa and watched. Even if I looked around, there were a few signs of people. Occasionally an elderly or helper-like person going by was about all.
ところであなた、風邪でもひいたの？それとも誰かのお見舞い？今は通院中だから。
I hesitated over how to answer, but told the truth. I added that I had just been discharged recently. I was an outpatient now.
あなたも大変そうね。ちなみに部活は何やってるの？部活？だって今は夏休みのはずでしょ？
As she spoke, she pointed at my uniform.
入院してたくらいだから文化部かしら。もしくは運動部のマネージャーとか。別に何もやってない。あら、意外な回答だったわね。もしかしてパジャマは嫌い？
At the sudden perceptive question, I couldn't find the words to respond with. It's not that I hated pajamas or anything, but I sensed that the precise reason would be difficult to put into words. And what this young woman had asked was probably aimed straight at that. She hadn't simply been asking whether I literally like pajamas.
お姉さんはここの人？ええ、こう見えても7階の住人よ。手っ取り早く言えば死亡確定者ってことね。
That which I had only known on the level of rumors was now clearly spelled out by a resident of the 7th floor. She used the word death in such a bright and relaxed tones. At the least, it didn't seem like I could comprehend. This person, what on earth could her thoughts be?
ねえねえ、よかったらまた遊びに来てよ。私が？何もやることがなくて退屈なのよ。それにここは面会時間も遅くまで大丈夫だから。
And with that, she told me the various things about the 7th floor. Up until now, I had only known vaguely, but it seemed that the rumors that it was a place to wait to die were true.
他にもルールとかあるんだけど、これ以上は言えないわ。どうして？そりゃ決まってるじゃない。あなたはここの住人ではないからよ。
It was only then, when she whispered that, did her face cloud. I felt that expression held loneliness, and seemed filled with intensity as well. Right now, I was wearing these clothes, steeped with the lingering regret for once normal days. And unlike myself, this young woman, no, these residents of the 7th floor had probably given up on everything, had made up their resolve.
ついに来たついでにでも寄ってよ。どんなに頑張ってもあと半年くらいだからさ。
He said that, and by way of farewell, She once more turned her cheery face towards me. Long black hair, white wristband, and a bright, relaxed way of talking were my impressions. Still, neither of us knew the other's name. My 15th summer. This was our first meeting.
暑い。
A few days later, I again visited the hospital. However, it wasn't like it was an examination day. If it's all right with you, come to play. The words of the young woman I met a few days ago. Maybe because I was somewhat interested in her, or maybe I was curious about that 7th floor place for some reason. I came to the highest floor. With a nod to the nurses who looked my way, I made my way to the door that the young woman had told me.
はい。来たわよ。いらっしゃい。待ってたわ。さ、座って座って。今日は暑かったでしょう。
Sitting up in her bed, she offered the folding chair next to her. The first room on the 7th floor that I entered felt a little different from the 3rd floor rooms I was used to.
悪かったわね。でもね、きっと来てくれると思ってたわ。あなた、暇だし。なんで決めつけなのよ。だって私たち病人の仕事は寝ることでしょ。世の中でこんな暇な人はいないわ。あら、そう思わない？別に。もう相変わらずクールね。ってそうだねえ、あなたアイス好き？あれ？じゃあ嫌い？はい決まり。じゃあ食堂まで一緒に食べに行きましょう。遠慮しなくていいって。お姉さんおごってあげるから。よく知らない人に。は？お母さんにそう言われてる。
Oh yeah, they better introduce each other, I guess.
なんで笑うのよ。ごめん、悪気はないから、本当に。でも確かにその通りね。知らない人についてちゃダメよね。姫子よ。え？お姫様の姫に子供の子。ついでに言うと天秤座の AB 型。あなたは？水亀座の O 型。
Aquarius, that means she's a December to January birthday, right? That's right, right? Wait, let me check the dates of Aquarius. Aquarius dates. January to February. Okay. All right, so her birthday's around the beginning of the year. Oh, nice.
節美。じゃあこれで知り合いね。節美。焼けた日差しとセミの声、この真っ白な7階にも響いていた。姫子と名乗るお姉さん。まだ私はお姉さんのことを何も知らないけど、この日から長い夏が始まろうとしていた。
Oh, vanilla ice cream. Wait, I'll be right back. All right, back. Let's do this vanilla ice cream. Following the young woman, I mean, Himiko-san, we came to the first floor cafeteria. We went up to a convenient table and sat next to each other. Maybe it was because it was right at lunch. The cafeteria was surprisingly crowded, not only with people from outside, but also people who seemed involved with the hospital. As for myself, because my home was close, I never used it before. But more people seemed to use it than I had thought. And then Himiko-san passed over a menu with a practiced air.
ゆっくり選んでくれていいわよ。チョコでもミントでもシャーベットでもなんでも好きなのにしてね。
She happily continued with her words, however. No matter how much I looked at the menu, it didn't seem like I had much to debate over.
じゃあ私はちょっと待った。はい。ズバリ私が予想してみましょう。
For some reason, when she interrupted me, she confidently started making her prediction. Certainly, this was a menu with many different set meals and drinks. But from the start, the key item, ice cream, only came in vanilla. There wasn't really anything to predict here.
そうね。あなたの雰囲気からするとバニラね。どう？もしかして当たってる？
Like, just like.
これは何かの冗談。
Just a little Jordan, I guess.
違う。そこはメニューそれしかないじゃんって突っ込んでくれないと。
I didn't really get it. She got fired up all by herself.
もういいわ。じゃ買ってくるから。
As she spoke, she got up from her seat and quickly went to buy. What that was just what? What? Wait, what? Was this phrased correctly? What was that just now? Wait, is this what the what? Is it this what was that just now? Not what that was just what? It's like I'm reading English from someone who'd never spoke English at all. What the fuck?
はい、お待たせ。
In a bit, Himeko-san returned. However, on the tray, there were 4 ice creams.
とりあえず一人ノルマ2個だからね。
Why? As the thought came to me, but faster than I could ask, she placed 2 dishes in front of me, as if that's how it was supposed to be. And she started eating before I did.
おいしい。やっぱ夏場はこれに限るわよね。
While nodding, I also started eating. It was a sherbet-like ice cream that fit the season with its light taste.
説明？おいしい？うん。じゃあさ、もっと嬉しそうに言ってみて。おいしい。ああ、そうじゃなくってもっとこう、なんていうかさ。
All this time, I'm wondering, just what in the world does she want me to do?
じゃあね。うまいぞーって言ってみて。うまいぞ。ポン。では次の問題です。え？問題？まずシャンデリアを10回言ってください。あ、素早く言わないとダメだからね。
Wait, okay. I thought she was literally gonna say it. Chandelier, 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 chandelier. And who ate the poison apple?
白雪姫。正解よ。
Maybe she wanted me to answer Cinderella.
さて、いよいよ盛り上がってまいりました。てなわけで自己紹介タイムよ。
And Himiko-san was charging herself up on her own. In this sort of situations, I guess I should go along at least a little bit. Well, that's what I wound up thinking. But it felt impossible for me.
ねえねえ、節美の趣味って何？特にない。じゃあ、お料理とか得意だったりして？別に。
Maybe you're unexpectedly a karaoke lover? And on top of that love anime song, can sing the Summer Machine Gun and stuff?
全然。
By the way, how come there are some lines that are straight up not voice acted? It's like they added those lines in addition or something, or they forgot to be voice acted. What the, I don't get it, man. I don't get it. What's up with the production of this VN, man?
それじゃ、今度は私の紹介する番ね。
Just when I thought if I had said all that much, Himiko-san suddenly stood up. Other people wondering what was going on looked over, but it seemed she didn't mind that at all.
こう見えても私すっごい車好きなの。なんと国内 A 級まで持ってるのよ。えへん。
She even straightened up in satisfaction and was excessively wound up. But to me, even if I was told national rank A, I had no idea what that meant.
それってすごいの？いやー、実はそれほどでも。
And in a flash, her energy disappeared. And as for me, instead of that, I was more interested in something else.
なに質問 OK よ。ロータリーエンジンとか得意だから。そうじゃなくて、そんなの食べていいの？ああ、そういうことね。
Before my eyes, Himiko-san continued to gobble up her ice cream. It might have been obvious, but ice cream was not supposed to go over well with the sick. Of course, I didn't know much about Himiko-san's illness, but at the least, I knew she was someone from the 7th floor. Just looking at it normally, a sick person shouldn't be eating that much ice cream. But to my question...
ねえ、あなた知ってる？7階の面会時間って。
I was answered with another question. What it had to do with being able to eat ice cream, I couldn't see. But I honestly shook my head. I'm sure that on the 3rd floor, where I was always admitted, was from 3 in the afternoon until 8 at night. However, only on Saturdays, mornings were allowed. I figured the other rooms probably had similar arrangements.
なんと7階だけは24時間 OK なのよ。ついでに言えば食事制限も特になし。そうなの？ああ、そりゃ無茶な大食いはダメだけど、基本的にいつでも好きなものを食べていいの。
While answering, she started to quickly eat ice cream again.
たくさんの制約があった病棟から7階ではいきなり自由になるのよね。
Himiko-san laughed happily as she replied. However, the next words she spoke were in a totally different tone.
説明？この意味がわかるわね。
I gave a small nod. What is a hospice? To that, there are people who say it is a place to wait for new treatments, as well as people who say that it is a place to ease the heart. I'm sure that both of those were probably correct. But for myself, it seemed like Himiko-san's words just now were more understandable.
そんなわけでいつでも来てよね。
With that, her usual cheery face returned. It was like this normally, but I felt that once in a while, the facial expressions and the words she used were very severe. Which one was the real Himiko-san? I didn't know. Most likely both of them were. Around when the sun came, which had been so high, was setting. After I left the hospital, I returned home.
ただいま。
At the empty front door, my voice reverberated. The moment I opened the door, from that closed-off room came a blast of hot air. I opened the living room window and let in the outside air. Even just that much cooled the room. Looking at the clock, it was 4. Still early for mother to be coming home. I placed my slightly sweaty sailor uniform in the washing machine and changed into pajamas. And then, after I'm washing the rice, to help out mother, who would be returning soon, I finished the preparations for making dinner. Since I was feeling well at this point, I set myself to doing at least this much. Really, I could just relax in my room, but instead I switched on the fan in the living room. Father and mother are working in the middle of this heat. For me alone to be in a cool, air-conditioned room, it gave me a bad feeling, and I couldn't do it. She's home.
ただいま。おかえりなさい。
Mother returned from her part-time job. Vital. Anyway, almost always around this time, she would come home.
説明？もう晩ご飯済ませた？まだ。 じゃあ一緒に食べましょう。今日もたくさんコロッケもらってきたから。
Sitting at the table across from each other, the two of us started an early dinner. Because Father's communicating time had grown, he often came home late. And so the times the two of us ate like this, separate from him, increased.
どう？美味しい？あ、よかったらポテトも食べてね。あなた好きでしょ？
With that, Mother offered the plate of potato fry. Before, I had just silently kept eating them. Since then, it seemed Mother thought I liked them.
実はお母さんね、昨日からポテトあげる係になったのよ。え？だから実はこれだけ残り物じゃなかったりしてね。あ、別に心配いらないわよ。あなたが好きだって言ったらね、お店の人たちも好きなだけ持って帰れって言ってくれているんだし。
Carefully, happily, Mother spoke on. Exactly what were the conditions that led people at the store to say that? I didn't know. But just from imagining it, I was filled with guilt. For some reason, I was pained.
じゃあ、これからも楽しみにしていてね。
In front of such a mother, all I could do was just stay quiet and continue eating the fries, trying as best I could to eat as if they were delicious. A few days after, with the usual cicadas and the sun consecutively setting record heat, under such a sky, I came here once again. A high ceiling, a white room, a small folding chair upon which I sat. However, even though I came here, it was just, I came here. Simply that. It's not like we talked about anything special. At the least, I never brought up any interesting conversation topics. It was just on the level of sitting next to the unilaterally chatting Himiko-san, giving seemingly uninterested responses.
一つ質問だけど。
Decisively, I tried asking a direct question.
私といて楽しい？ええ、あなたといると退屈知らずよ。嫌味？とんでもない。すっごく楽しいわよ。すつみちゃんラブラブって感じかしら。
Maybe she's toying with me. I couldn't help thinking that. But Himiko-san was always like this. One-sidedly getting over whatever I said, and cheerfully following her own pace to the end. And then, just when we had an exchange, wow, good afternoon. The person who came in was an older lady I didn't recognize. It was the first time I saw anyone come to this room. Himiko-san, how are you feeling?
ああ、特にって感じかしら。
Today is bathing day. What shall I do?
大丈夫よ。お気遣いどうもね。
Then, if there's anything, feel free to say. With those final words, the lady I didn't know left the room again. At first, I had thought it was a family member, but it seemed to be otherwise. Maybe it was a helper, since she was wearing an apron. She seemed like one. It was just, I felt she was somehow different from the other people I knew called helpers.
今の人は？ああ、ヘルパーの人よ。別の人の担当だけどね。
It seemed that I was right, that she was a helper. But because there really did seem to be a difference, Himiko-san explained about helpers here. It seemed that the helpers of the general wards were generally supposed to help people in this physical sense. Depending on the hospital, it could be a job. There also seemed to be someone who looked upon it as a form of part-time work. Compared to that, the 7th floor helpers, because mental care was relatively important, it doesn't fit the feeling of it being a part-time job.
まあ、少なくともこの病院、この7階では全員ボランティアのはずよ。そうなんだ。偉いんだね。
I was a bit impressed. It might have been obvious, but I had heard that those who have not been informed beforehand cannot enter the 7th floor. For those people who, by their own choosing, volunteer for free for the sake of those patients, I plainly felt admiration. But at my reaction, Himiko-san,
そうね。偉いわね。
well, considering she was one back then, and then she became a patient herself. Damn. She replied without conviction. Looking at it normally, you'd think you'd sense a bit of something like appreciation, and that Hibiko-san's words from before, though assigned to someone else, had someone else nagged at me. And just those words, one would think that Hibiko-san's assigned helper also existed somewhere. But so far, I had never seen anyone like that.
姫子さんの担当の人は？いないわよ。いない？どうして？だって私には必要ないもん。
Politely, that was the only answer she gave. I didn't really understand. But maybe the 7th floor helpers could be refused if the patient said so. Certainly, Himiko-san, when compared to the other people of the 7th floor, could walk normally, and because she was young, was lively. But, come to think of it, let's have come here. I have not once seen any family members come to visit.
でも今はあなたが来てくれたからね。
It's as if she saw what I was thinking and replied,
ありがとう。これで残り3つになったわ。残り3つ？ええ。年の離れた友達が欲しかったのよ。ほらよくあるじゃない。死ぬまでにしたい10のことって。
and she lightly used the word dying. That might also be because she's at the 7th floor, but to have that word said in a cheery voice so suddenly was jarring. However, the 10 things one wants to do before dying. What they were, I didn't know. How much time Himiko-san had left, I also didn't know. Looking at it the other way, I could say there were 3 things remaining.
まあ、あれよ説明。聖書が正しければ世界は7日で作られたそうよ。だから私に残された時間でも大抵のことは可能だと思わない？それ例えになってないわよ。まあそんなこと言わずにさ、残り3つなんだからよかったら付き合ってよ。
It looks like we've become friends, the two of us. Upon the first week of meeting, I've been asked to go along with the 3 remaining things to do before dying. Himiko-san's words, I didn't know how serious she was, but it seemed that I would probably be coming to this place often. As the sun slowly sank and the sky stained orange, I left the hospital. Today I may have been at the hospital too long. As I was thinking that, my eyes landed on the schoolyard. Again, there were children running around happily. Even the metal bar I did the somersault on before had plenty of patrons today. Summer vacation. Thus, the voices of the Higurashi cicadas, sweaty playing children, each and every one, was an everyday part that built out the scene of a common summer day. There was nothing out of the ordinary of the place. No one who made a stained face like mine from a single somersault. One-san, what's wrong? As I continued to stare, gazing, one child that was playing spoke to me. Did you want to play with the bar?
別に何でもないわよ。
With just that answer, I turned on my heel. Looking up, the sky already darkened. It's already darkening. What the fuck? Anyway, I hurried along the road home.
ただいま。おかえり。ちょうど晩ご飯の支度ができたところよ。
Looking at the clock, it was already about 7. Today, Ma had come home first, and together with Mom, we began our usual early dinner.
そういえば今日は遅かったわね。
Heaven's early dinner? What the fuck? Anyway.
ちょっと病院寄ってたから。
あら、今日って検診の日だっけ？
そうじゃないけど。
I'm worried about how to answer. How should I talk about Himiko-san? Being an acquaintance seems safe, but after thinking a bit, I decided to answer like Himiko-san said.
友達のところに行ってたから。
友達？
Mother repeated my words back to me. She also had a surprised, unbelieving sort of expression. However, Mother having that kind of reaction was probably unavoidable. For the word tomodachi to come out of my mouth was itself rare. Well, at the very least, in these past few years, it probably had been impossible.
そう。よかったわね、節美。お友達ができて。
And this time, she happily continued speaking. To that happy mother, I spoke about the events that happened up until now. That she was a very kind Onesan. That lately I've been going to play every day. And often I was taken to go eat ice cream.
へえ、優しそうなお姉さんね。
I don't get the translation inconsistency. There's big sister, and then there's Onesan, which is basically the same. Let me guess, there's gonna be Okasan. I mean, their mother is translated as English, but like, whatever. But then again, you know what? I'm also using Japanese words randomly. It's not like I was lying. But I wasn't able to say that she was a resident of the 7th floor. Why I thought that? I didn't know the exact reason. Being on the 7th floor wasn't Himiko-san's fault. It was no one's fault. I knew that. Because I was in a similar position. Because at some point, the people I knew disappeared. I knew it even more so. It was probably the feeling of not wanting to worry her. I'm sure that Mother would imagine that if it was another normal patient or perhaps a nurse. But to deny that didn't seem like something I could do.
そうだ。じゃあ明日からお弁当も作ってあげようか。この距離でもわざわざ帰ってくるの面倒でしょ。
Mother continued being happy. Okasan continued to be happy. Okay, I'm just gonna go for the random ass. Lately, my health had been good. I'm probably hearing I had made a tomodachi made her extra happy. Okay, you know what? I'll just keep this one friend. It's kind of weird to say tomodachi. I mean, thing, but like, you know what? Whatever. I wouldn't say it out loud, but I think not since 6th grade trip. She always had put effort into making lunch for me.
任せて。豪華なの作ってあげるから。
In front of such a happy Okasan, I could say nothing. As always, all I could do was quietly eat the potato fry. Oh, croquet. Oh shit, you know what? It's been a while since I had croquet. God damn it. Now I'm thinking about it for tomorrow. Setsumi. Oh no, it's not. It's one of those. She didn't voice this line. Even though it was still morning, it already felt like midday. Today also looked like it would be a hot day. In that, walking the 3-minute distance, I again was headed toward the hospital. In my hands was the usual tote bag with a pattern of yellows and flowers on white. Nothing in particular had changed from yesterday. It was just another summer day. What different was hidden inside the tote bag? The lunch that Okasan had made for me.
Oi! Setsumi!
All from far away, I turned towards a familiar voice.
どうしたの？こんな場所で。待ってたのよ。ちょっと手伝ってほしくって。
With just those words, Himiko-san quickly started walking. Just where was she going? Wherever it wasn't the main entrance but the rear. While not knowing what was happening, I followed along.
Hi! 到着!
The place we'd come to was the hospital's courtyard. Around the small fountain was a clock and many flower beds. While I had been hospitalized, it had been a place I came to numerous times.
ここがどうかしたの？ほらそこ見てよ。
What Himiko-san was pointing at was a corner of a flower bed, roughly 3 meters square. It was just that, even though there was grass and flowers blooming around it, that patch alone had nothing growing in it.
そんなわけでじゃーん、何それ、球根よ球根、今からここに植えようと思ってね。
Proudly, Himiko-san took out a bulb from the plastic bag in her hand and showed me. Counting them up, there seemed to be around 100. Sure, if 2 people were planting, it would be done in about an hour, but I was worried about something else.
勝手に植えていいの？うん？だってこの区画は冬用の場所だし。私が尋ねたのは勝手にの部分よ。大丈夫だって、別に怒られたりしないから。
That really didn't feel like much of an explanation, but winter use probably meant it was for flowers that bloom in the winter, and I understood that for that reason. Now was the time to plant them. But even then, I didn't see how that connected with the planting in the hospital's flower beds without permission. Or were the people of the 7th floor permitted this much freedom?
じゃあ始めましょうか。10センチほど掘ってから球根を埋めてね。
When she said that, she handed a bag of bulbs and a small gardening trowel over. Recently, my health had been fine, so this wasn't a problem, but I wondered if it was alright for Himiko-san to work under this blazing sky. I couldn't help but worry about that, but Himiko-san herself was planting with amazing vigor. Maybe gardening was a hobby. One might believe that, since her hands move unnaturally well. I'm guessing the previous line should be, maybe gardening was a hobby. I'm guessing this is supposed to be like, maybe gardening was her hobby or something, but whatever.
そうそう、そんな感じで軽く土もかけてね。あ、うん。
Once in a while, as I watched and imitated her, she would give instructions.
ね、これって何の花なの？水仙よ。知ってる？あ、うん。名前くらいは。
Even so, I could only remember that they were white flowers. Having only seen them blooming on TV or in a book, this was the first time I held a bulb like this.
あのね、これって珍しいのよ。今の時期にあるなんて。そうなの？ええ。本来は夏の終わり頃だからね。
And then, Himiko-san taught me various things. That the scientific name was Narcissus. The family of a real days, I can't pronounce that, man. How you could grow them from seeds, but since they take a few years to bloom, bulbs are planted instead. How in the deep of winter, when the flower beds were a lonely place, their single proud blooming form was impressive and beautiful.
やっぱり園芸が趣味なの？ん？別に趣味ってわけじゃないわよ。じゃあどうして詳しいの？どっちかというと職業柄かな。
Gardener? A florist? But before she had said she liked cars. I didn't really understand. I still really didn't know much about Himiko-san.
何してもこれが咲く頃には私はいないけどね。
And as always, cheerfully talking about things that make you stop short. What I knew was that she was the resident of the 7th floor, and that the rest of her time was within sight. And despite that, she does these things, and was a person who could be called carefree.
さて、だいたい終わったし、そろそろ部屋に帰りましょう。
Together, we carefully washed our hands and headed to the 7th floor. Right in front of us, as we got out the elevator, was a large cart carrying lunch. It was already that time. And so, with Himiko-san's lunch tray in hand, we went back to the room. Normally, when this time came, I'd be heading back home to eat lunch.
ねえ、せつみ、一緒に食堂行く？あなたも家まで帰るのめんどくさいでしょ。
Holding her own tray, Himiko-san made the suggestion. Normally, I would have gone on thinking it over, but today was a bit different.
今日私お弁当持ってきてるから。あなたお弁当持ってきてるの？うん。お母さんが作ってくれたから。
As I spoke, I took out the obento from the tote bag and opened it on the small table near the bed. And the frozen mugicha I brought along was now melted, just right for drinking.
どうかした？せずみ！びっくりした。私は今猛烈に感動してるのよ。まさかこんな場所にお弁当持参で来てくれる子がいるとは。ありがとう。抱きつかないで。
Like,
ちょっとオーバーだったかしら。
I really like how Setsumi's so like, stop this, man. And so we began eating lunch together. Himiko-san got off the bed and we sat in folding chairs next to each other. By the way, Himiko-san's lunch, even though it was the 7th floor, didn't look all different from the food in the other wards. I wondered if it would have been extremely luxurious, but it was what it could call plain hospital lunch. Compared to that, my lunch, which Okasan had put effort into making, spicy fried tofu, lots of croquette, was very lively.
ねえねえ、一つもらっていい？うん。どうぞ。いただきます。これカレーコロッケね。
It wasn't supposed to be all that spicy, but Himiko-san drank far too much water.
大丈夫？実は私って辛いの超苦手なのよね。
Just so you know, it kind of bothers me because every time I ate something they call so-called spicy curry in Japan, it's not spicy at all. What the hell? Anyway, unlike her normal image, there was some tears in her eyes. She looked so pitiful, I decided to tell her what was in them.
これが野菜コロッケ。はい。そっちはかぼちゃ。手前のは肉コロッケよ。もしかして見ただけで中身がわかるの？
So to show the half-believing, half-doubting woman, I split open the croquettes with my chopsticks.
ほら、合ってるわよ。なんでわかるのよ。外見全く同じなのに。全く同じってわけでもないわ。少なくとも私には見分けつかないわね。ねえ、もしかしてコロッケに詳しいの？別に。
I didn't think it was all that amazing myself. Basically, from eating them every day, I just learned to pick out the little differences between the outsides.
ごちそうさまでした。
I can imagine that Setsumi's very detail-oriented, that, you know, she could... I mean, considering how she was in, like, the first story, you know, we already know she had, like, she had a knack for, like, distinguishing things. But then again, she was, like, at that point that she was collecting a lot of knowledge about cars, roads, routes, and all. And, well, we were kind of getting an idea that it all came from Himiko. So, this story is going to be a lot interesting. Once our meal was finished, I placed the now empty lunchbox back in the tote bag.
ねえ、コロッケ博士。はい。食後のアイスに行かない？博士も。
Could it be that Koroke Hakase meant me?
変なあだ名。気に入らなかったみたいね。
Beyond the windows that could only open 15 centimeters was the summer sky. The voices of noisily crying cicadas and Himiko-san's bright, laughing voice rang out in the narrow room. There, always bright and cheery, was Himiko-san. And just maybe, I too was smiling. Afterwards, we passed the time as usual in the room. When we parted, as I was making to leave the 7th floor.
ちょっと
Turning around, there was a young woman I didn't know. Oh, I guess this is Chihiro, I guess. A cute, really skirt. Okay, no, I'm guessing this is Chihiro. A cute, frilly skirt, a red apron, and a rosary on her chest left an impression. The other helpers I've seen before wore the same aprons, so that probably meant this person was also a helper.
私に何かここは関係者か肉親以外ご遠慮いただいているのですが、あ、それともどちらかのご家族の方でしたか？
For a moment I thought about how to answer, and then slowly opened my mouth.
姫子って人の友達。え？あなたが友達？そう言われているわ。何？あ、いえ、何でもないです。失礼しました。
With those words, the young woman once again went off somewhere. What was that just now? It was probably a helper, but around when the sun had completely set, today's dinner was ending.
まあ綺麗に食べてくれたのね。
Mother looked pleased at the empty lunchbox.
じゃあ明日からも作ってあげるわね。
うん。ありがとう。
Truth was, Himiko-san had eaten the potato fry for me, but I wasn't able to reveal that. Once I opened the window in the room, just a bit of cool night wind came in. My room. By the window, the sailor uniform was drying. The sweltering summer heat made me want to turn on the air conditioner. But when I thought about father, who still hadn't come home yet, I stopped. Bro, the electricity bills, right? Come to think, Himiko-san. In the end, he was really vague about it. But I wonder if planting flowers in the flower bed without permission would cause her any problems. On top of that, the story from before about how she didn't need to help her and how no one came to visit her was also mysterious. Name Himiko, Libra, blood type AB. ID bracelet color was white. I still probably didn't know anything about her. Wait, need to pause. Alright, let's continue. Punishment. The next day, today we ate our lunch in a different location. In a deserted lounge, while watching the impersonal daytime news on the television, we ate.
やっぱこのコロッケ美味しいわね。
Today again, Himiko-san seemed to want the dishes in my lunch. I also knew the hospital food was bad. On top of the table, my lunch and Himiko-san's hospital meal were spread out, and the two of us ate together.
ねえ、次は野菜コロッケが欲しいんだけど。右端のよ。はーい、ありがとう、説明博士。もう教えてあげない。うん、冗談だって、冗談。
It's a little Jordan. Chill out, Setsumi. As we made these little exchanges, around when today's lunch came to an end,
ねえ、以前から気になってたんだけど、もしかして嫌いなの？
as she spoke, she pointed at the potato fry in the lunchbox.
結局、昨日も私一人でポテト食べたじゃない。うん。嫌い。じゃあ、どうして入ってるの？
What should I answer? I debated a bit, and I decided to tell the truth.
好きだと思っているから、お母さんは。あなたも大変そうね。
Probably even with just that, my meaning went true. It was like before with the clothes. For some reason, Himiko-san seemed to see through to the heart of things. However, the words that Himiko-san spoke next weren't in a bright tone of voice.
でも、それは優しさじゃないわよ。え、まだあなたには理解できないでしょうけど。
God damn it, man.
相手を気遣っているつもりなら大間違いね。
Mistake? Not kindness. At the very least, those words weren't directed at Mother Okasan, but probably towards me. Right and wrong. If it's that, I understand. Even I don't think not saying how I really feel is right. Then, was revealing the truth kindness? To say that Okasan had gone through for my sake was something I actually hated. Would that be kindness? Afterwards, I was asked to go shopping at the store for Himiko-san. As I left the elevator on the 7th floor and was again headed to the lounge.
あれ
In the hallway just before the lounge, I saw Himiko-san talking to someone. I was sure that person was the helper that had spoken to me the other day. I thought about going up and speaking to them as the two of them spoke, but for some reason sensing that it wasn't that kind of atmosphere, I reflexively watched from afar.
ほら今日の分の点滴まだなんだから。
分かってるわよ。今から帰るとこだって。
それと午後からの入浴の仕方だけど。
千尋、私が知らないとでも思って。
別にそんな意味じゃ。
だったら余計な気遣いは無用よ。あなたこそ自分の担当のもとへ帰りなさい。
God damn, man. God damn. Holy shit, yeah. You know what? I totally understand where Himiko-san's coming from, man. Man, that's... Damn. And the unknown woman left like that. Without a doubt, that was the person who spoke to me the other day.
ねえ今の人は
ただのヘルパーよ。
An answer as if she was pushing something aside. To me, from the explanation I heard from the helpers on the 7th floor, I thought they were very admirable. And yet, looking at Himiko-san, it didn't seem like she felt that way. Especially with the person just now. I felt she had even been cold. Perhaps, thinking that I wanted to say something, Himiko-san entered the lounge before us. And sitting in the sofa, she offered the chair facing me.
実は私もヘルパーやってたことあるのよ。
えここで
だから知り合いなのよ。
That was unexpected. For me, the bright cheery Himiko-san and the image of a helper just wouldn't connect. At the least, my image of the helpers on the 7th floor was that they were always calm and collected. But thinking more on it, part of it did fit. Patients on the 7th floor, unlike patients on the other wards, in a way were given freedom. However, even among them, I had thought Himiko-san was special. For some reason, it felt as if she was allowed to get away with even more. The questions I had before about planting in the garden without permission, and how she said she didn't need an assigned helper. How she would randomly give friendly nods to doctors and nurses. Truly, because she had been a helper before in this hospital, she had probably been allowed more.
ねえ一つ質問していい？どうしてヘルパーやってたの？
This time, I tried voicing my next question. Even if it were true that Himiko-san had been previously a helper, why she would work as one? I couldn't imagine. At the least, for what I knew about Himiko-san, I thought she would be indifferent to something like volunteering or being a helper.
うちはカトリックだからね。
カトリック。
ええ、私の両親もそうだけど、こういう福祉活動にはよく参加するのよ。
That was an even more unexpected answer. Of course, myself, I knew absolutely nothing about Kurisu-chan's. Sorry, I remembered the wrong kind of Kurisu-chan. Or religious matters. But even then, the helper just before, I felt that the image of Himiko-san was far from that.
それにほら、ここってキリスト教病院でしょ？
うん。それは知ってる。
だから余計にね。
She spoke as if that were the answer to everything. Certainly, I hadn't really considered it up until now. But now that she mentioned it, I did occasionally see people who looked like priests and sisters. But still, for us normal sick people, there were a few things that we paid attention to about the kind of hospital it was. Instead of things like that, whether there was specialization in surgery or whether there was a famous internist present, from those a hospital would be chosen. However, for the people who worked there was probably a huge difference.
でも所詮私はエセカトリックよ。
エセ？
そうなの。偶然教会の隣に家があったってだけだし。
Himiko-san answered in her usual cheery way. Whether those words were a truth or a lie, I didn't know. However, just that time, her gaze shifted to the window. In that profile that I rarely saw, I thought there was some denial of those words.
でもね、まさか逆に自分が7階に入るとは思わなかったわ。やっぱ罰が当たったのかもしれないわね。
Oh no, the punished Himiko. Holy shit. When the long summer day slowly ended, unusually, father was home early. So today our family of three ate dinner together. This move has commute lengthened, and it has been a while since the three of us gathered around the dinner table like this. Oh? Made a tomodachi?
ええ、だから最近は毎日出かけているのよ。
Isn't that great, Setsumi?
うん。
Hearing up my making a friend, father was also Otaka-san was also happy. Also became happy. Whatever. My brain's dying. I'm pretty sure that because my health had been well lately, Otaka-san was even more pleased. Before that, the three of us would always eat gohan together. But now, because he comes home late, Otaka-san and I together was normal. What? Wait, sorry. There was also times when she would come home late from her part-time job and I would eat alone. That was the norm now. Since that day 3 years ago, days of going in and out of hospitals. Himiko-san that she herself was being punished. Then, did I also do something wrong? I was being punished? What kind of wrong did I commit? And the one who's being punished, was it myself? Or my parents? Or perhaps both? Bruh, do you remember her last outburst in the first story? She was still thinking about this kind of question, man.
どうかした、節美。
うん。なんでもない。
Opening the window, even in such a stuffy heat, the night breeze felt nice. There was many things I didn't understand, but if we were being punished, then who is doing the punishing? And if I said I'm sorry to that person, would we be forgiven? I, who would silently eat potato fry, and also been called unkind? And Himiko-san, for some reason, came close to me. Until now, outside of family, others had done the reverse and avoided me. I guess that was for her also. It was because there was no one else and she was bored. Ooh, pink manicure. Oh shit. Oh, does this auto-save? I mean, I can imagine this. Give me a second, I want to try this out. If I accidentally fuck this up, man, let's see. I hope it saves. Cause I'm gonna feel bad if like I think it saves. Wait, where the hell? Where the hell's the icon? What the fuck? Give me a second. All right, we're back. All right, let's start pink. I'm thinking I should get some movie. I'll do pink manicure last for the stream. I mean recording, and we'll continue tomorrow. Burning sunlight and the pouring of cicadas' cry. Pitch black shadows were right underfoot. After having overslept, I was now headed to the usual place. Ohayo, you're here late today.
おはよう。
Getting out the elevator, I exchanged light greetings with the nurse I became acquainted with. By now, even if I entered the 7th floor, no one challenged me. Just maybe, at this rate, I too might become a person of this place. Question mark. Spoilers. When the thought suddenly came, I was afraid. Continuing down the white hall, I headed to the now familiar room of Himiko-san.
入るわよ。
And when I returned to Himiko-san, who had probably been waiting, books. I like this. I like this CD. Maybe? Spread atop the bed, thin volumes that Himiko-san gazed at. Well, what those were, I didn't know, but the face was different from her usual bright expression.
何見てるの？地図よ。地図。
Let's see. With just that answer, her gaze once again returned to the pages. There was an expression I never saw before. A lonely yet also somehow calm expression.
面白い。別につまらないわ。
Words said so, but her face wouldn't turn this way. And even though she said it was boring, he continued staring with a lonely gaze. Bruh, this is exactly how Setsumi was when he met the MC of the first story. Then you don't have to look. Even as I thought that, I gazed along with her. There was nothing else to do, nothing else I could do. Spread atop the bed, the maps of some place, and on them were a number of large highways and roads, places with unfamiliar names. It felt like a sight to Himiko-san, who continued gazing, but for me, I couldn't find enjoyment in doing such.
退屈でしょ？いいのよ。私だってつまらないと思うもの。じゃあ、どうして見てるの？さあ、どうしてだろうね。
Even as she answered with that, Himiko-san continued to gaze. But Himiko-san herself didn't know the reason, then there was no way I could understand. While thinking that, just when I thought she would remain that way for a while, she slowly murmured.
でもね、まだあなたには必要ないものよ。それはいつか必要になるってこと。さあ、それもあなた次第かしら。
Occasionally, Himiko-san spoke as if she could see ear to my thoughts. There were also times when she would suddenly toss out words like Zen riddles. What those were really talking about, I didn't know. For some reason, often I would wind up nodding.
ねえ、説明知ってた？もしどこか行きたい場所があったとして、どれだけの予算があれば足りると思う？わからないわ。
At the sudden question, I answered honestly. I had never thought about such a thing.
私の計算によるとね、5万円よ。そんなに？うん、そう考えちゃダメよ。逆に言えば、それだけあれば日本中どこだって行けるってことよ。
Damn. Considering how much money she only saved, she only had 4,000. Oh wait, no, 40,000. Sorry, she only had 40,000, so she was missing 10,000. But like, well, that was still a lot, 40,000. But she was close to the 50,000 number. Even hearing that sum, to me, it meant nothing. I also couldn't see the intention behind letting me hear it. Perhaps it simply meant that for Himiko-san, she had a place she wanted to go to, and someday I, too, have such a place born within me. Perhaps she also wanted to say that.
さて、じゃあまたアイスでも行きましょうか。
Well, that was spoilers. I mean, anyway. With that, she folded the maps and stood.
私、検温あるから先に行ってて。
Leaving Himiko-san, we waited for the elevator. All around, I could see the pajama-wearing people of the 7th floor. These people, I wonder if they have a place they wanted to go to, just like Himiko-san. Or perhaps people of a certain age, from having already given up, or taking a more philosophical view. Maybe they don't think about such things.
節美さんでよかったかしら。あなたは確かヘルパーの。はい、この7階を担当させていただいております。
It was the helper who had spoken to me before. The other day, Himiko-san had been speaking with her and said she was an acquaintance.
それで姫子さんのお姉ちゃんのことですけど。お姉ちゃん？
With that word, I could make a guess at how things were. Before, Himiko-san said she had once been a helper on the 7th floor, and her family was Catholic, and she had also participated in public welfare activities. Then, for this younger Imoto to be a helper here in the same way was not surprising.
それで私に何か？もし節美さんが無理して一緒にいるようでしたらと思って。別にそんなことないわよ。だったらいいんですが、以前は明るくて優しいお姉ちゃんだったんですけど。
Saying that, she sadly lowered her head a bit. Certainly, I also had a similar impression when we met the other day. At the least, I thought her behavior towards this kinder looking Imoto seemed very cold. However, towards myself, there was no need of that. Had been. Even now, I believe she was kind.
千尋、何をやっているの？お姉ちゃん。前にも言ったわね。余計なことを喋ってる暇があったら、自分の担当の人をしっかり見るべきでしょ？うん、それは分かってるけど。あなたもヘルパーならば、自分の責務を全うしなさい。行きましょう、節美。
Speaking unilaterally, and then leaving her sister there, Himiko-san quietly walked ahead. Even as I felt somehow bad for Chihiro, I followed after. Again today, sitting facing each other, we ate vanilla.
悪かったわね。変なとこ見せて。今の人が妹さん。ええ、そうよ。
While speaking, Himiko-san began eating her second ice cream. Beyond that, it didn't look like she was going to say any more. But I wanted to know about her behavior just before. Without a doubt, she was worried about Himiko-san.
ねえ、どうしてあんなに？もしかして妹のこと？うん。
I gave a small nod. It was Himiko-san's own Imoto, and as someone who had been the same kind of helper before, I thought she would understand her feelings. It might not have been something an outsider should be interfering with, but still, I felt bad for her Imoto and was sorry for her.
あんなに優しくていい人なのに。そうね。優しくていい人だからよ。よくわからないわ。いいのよ。これもまだあなたには必要ないから。
Why is she like acting like she's always foreshadowing things? She's always speaking in a term like, I know what's going to happen to you. God damn, man.
ただいま。
おかえり。ちょうど晩ご飯の支度できたわよ。お腹減ったでしょ。
うん。
With a nod, I handed over today's empty lunchbox.
はい、たくさん食べてね。
On top of the dinner table were a number of dishes. As always, the fried things from the part-time job were there.
あ、ほら、またあげてきたわよ。
That's a lot of unhealthy stuff. I mean, always eating fried, I mean. There's nothing wrong about eating fried, but having too much fried is like... Anyway. But Ashley offered the plate of potato fry. Their slightly fat slicing was a distinctive feature. But today, the hand that held the plate was different from before.
お母さん、手。
ああ、大したことないわよ。 やっぱり油使うからね。
Mother answered cheerfully as always. But those were the mark of a burn. It was slightly red. Before, while beautifully painted with manicures, Mother would show them to Father and me with pride. At that figure, happily excited over such a small thing, Father and I would look at each other and give a weary smile. When she got a strange color, even while saying I was 10 years too young, she also painted my nails. But now it was different. The pink manicures had faded. In their place was the slightly red skin of roughened hands. Why did they become that way? The reason was easy enough to imagine. For whose sake they become that way? That didn't even take imagining. And exactly because of that, it was painful for me. It tortured me.
どうしたの？今日のもあげたてよ。
This isn't kindness. I recall Himiko-san's words. I had a feeling I understood. Betraying good intentions, accepting lies, both were wrong.
ねえお母さん。
どうかした節美。美味しいわよ。まあポテト担当になって少しはお母さんの腕も上がったみたいだしね。
With hands that were different from those days, but with a smile that was unchanged from those days, Okasan happily offered the potato fry. In front of such an Okasan, I could do nothing other than quietly eat the fries. If I were to say the truth here, if I were to truly apologize, the person who was punishing us, that person out there somewhere, would they relent? A few days later, with the sun shining directly overhead, I headed to the usual place. I'd heard that this summer was a cooler summer than average, but it still seemed like it was going to be a hot day.
おはよう。節美待ってたわよ。
For some reason, Himiko-san was again waiting in front of the hospital.
また中庭。そうじゃないけど、まあ行きましょうよ。
But just that, she quickly started to walk towards the outside of the hospital.
ちょっとどこ行く気よ。ほら前にも言ったでしょ。残り3つのことよ。
Remaining 3. At first, I couldn't remember what she was talking about.
例の死ぬまでにしたい10のことっての。そうそう残り3つのうちの1つなんだけどさ、ちょっと行って確かめてみたいことがあってね。
As she spoke, Himiko-san continued walking. Already, she was quite ways from the hospital.
一体どこまで行くつもりよ。結構遠いわよ。電車でも片道2時間くらいかしら。先生の外出許可はもちろん無断よ。
I didn't really understand it well, but even if it's Himiko-san, she was still a resident of the 7th floor, and I had the feeling that just up and leaving the hospital, going that far wasn't allowed.
大丈夫よ。そんな不安そうな顔しなくても。そりゃ外で見つかったらさすがに怒られるかもしれないけど、ちょっとくらいは多めに見てもらえるからさ。
After saying that much, she started walking again. Was she being serious? Certainly, if you kept going this way, you should get to this train station. And then there was one other thing that nagged at me.
ところで、その格好のまま行くの？
I raised the simple question of how Himiko-san was dressed in pajamas. At the least, to ride on a train. I thought that was a bad way to go about things.
もちろんこのままよ。このまま。着替えないの？いいのよ。これが私のユニフォームなんだから。
The sun up above cast short, dark shadows. An unheating of the midsummer morning was lightly stepping Himiko-san. Wait, what? Slightly stepping. Sorry. Even after saying that, only 5 minutes of walking around when the number of people walking on the street slowly increased. I wasn't too familiar with things, but it seemed that she was headed towards Station A. Certainly, she said it was 2 hours each way, but just how far was she planning on going? In just that amount of time, riding on a train, it felt like you could get quite far.
ね。駅からどこに向かうの？海までよ。正確にはパイナップルの木がある場所かしら。パイナップルの木。
Words that I wasn't familiar with. I didn't know pineapple trees existed in the first place.
ほら、よく大きな建物の前なんかにさ、フェニックスって呼ばれている木があるでしょ？うん、知ってる。あれってさ、絶対にパイナップルの木だと思わない？
Indeed, it did look very similar, but
だからさ、試しに切ってみて中身を確かめてみたいのよね。ねえ、もし本当にパイナップルの木だったら大変よ。
was she being serious? From a common sense standpoint, it had to be a joke. However, and with Himiko-san's case, considering how she normally was, it was impossible to tell.
何よ、その顔は。もしかしてバカにしてる？そうじゃないけど、ありえないと思う。もうコロッケ博士のくせに頭が固いわね。何事も実際に試してこそでしょ。博士、関係ないわよ。それにフェニックスの木だったら病院にもあるし、どこにでもあるじゃない。ダメよ、もっと大物で試さないと面白くないでしょ。
Finally, we were just about to reach the station. Never mind that it was 10 minutes. Walking under the blazing sky was unexpectedly difficult. And as I had expected, Himiko-san's pajama-clad figure stood out, and people walking by glanced at us.
本当に行くの？もちろんじゃない。そのためにここまで。隠れて。どうしたの？あれ？外科病棟の先生だわ。向こうは4階チーフの看護婦さんもいるし。
Bruh, that's why Station B, not Station A. Now that you mention it, they were faces that I recognized.
そっか。病院の関係者はこの駅から通っていたのね。
Okay, she finally understands why it's Station B, not Station A.
これじゃ見つかって怒られちゃうわ。
Himiko-san laughed in a carefree and sunny way. There was no sense of planning or anything else. In any case, surely she had been a helper before, and she didn't know this.
だって私の家って近所だから電車で通ったことないんだもん。私だってそうよ。でもやっぱあれね、伊達にルールに含まれてないわね。ルール？いやいや、あなたには関係ないことだから。それでどうするの？あ？そりゃ出直すに決まってるでしょ。
Quickly, the decision came, even though she had been so determined to go up until now. Or perhaps if she really wanted to go, maybe after the morning rush ended, it seemed possible to get on a train without being found. Or maybe it had been serious to begin with. The sun was still high. Around now, the shops in the marketplace were opening up.
さて、せっかく駅前まで来たんだし、寄り道でもしますか。
As she spoke, Himiko-san wandered around among the shops along the street. Looks like, even though she gave up on riding the train, she didn't intend on going straight back to the hospital. Helplessly, I obeyed and followed after. As always, because of her pajamas, people would glance over. However, it seemed that Himiko-san herself didn't mind one bit. Eventually, her feet stopped in front of one storefront.
この服、なんかいいわね。
Touch a number of clothes decorating the front of the shop, but they were all distinctly frilly sort of things. However you looked, they were meant for cute girls. They didn't really seem to fit Himiko-san all that much.
そういうのが好きなの。まさか私にこんな少女趣味ないわよ。
As I tried to understand what she said, she spread out the clothing in her hands in front of me.
似合うわよ、説明。
Oh, I guess that would explain why Setsumi wore those kinds of clothes then.
私？ほら、いつもセーラー 似服だけどさ、こういうのも似合うだろうって思ってたのよ。ね、買ってあげようか、このワンピース。でも遠慮しなくていいって、お姉さんからのプレゼントなんだから。
I don't want it. Would have been a lie. For someone who had only had a single sailor uniform, it was a very tempting proposition.
姫子さんの服は私は必要ないわ。だってこれがユニフォームだもん。
With that, she pointed at her own pajamas.
だったら私もいい。あら、別に私に合わせる必要ないわよ。だってあなたはまだ選べるんだからさ。
While I wanted to reply, I swallowed my words, spoke in her usual bright tone, but the words can still choose. I noticed a very heavy meaning in them.
やっぱり残念ね。絶対似合うと思ったのに。まあ気が変わったら言って、いつでも買ってあげるからね。
After that, we wandered around in front of the station a while, ate ice cream together, and headed back to the hospital. As we found similar clothes in other stores, shops, she continued to say she'd buy them for me, but in the end I kept refusing. The daytime had been so hot and hazy, but now in the huge sky, the face of the moon peeked out. As usual, after eating dinner, I returned to my room and relaxed. By the window, washed and drying on a hanger, was the sailor uniform. While gazing at it, I suddenly thought about the time I had gone to school. Right now, my health was good, so one could forget, but in reality, I was someone who was admitted in and out of hospitals. Already over 2 years had passed since I've been away from the hot place called school. In that time, I haven't once thought about wanting clothes other than pajamas. There wasn't even any pressure from such a need.
でも今日は少しだけ心が揺れた。
Maybe it would have been better had I admitted I wanted the clothes. But Himiko-san herself was stubbornly in pajamas, and being the only one to get new clothing made me feel bad. Besides that, no matter where Himiko-san was in her pajamas, she was dignified. Compared to that, I always felt somehow sorry. Like I'm somehow doing something embarrassing. I can't help it. Or maybe Okasan, who had stopped getting manicures and reddened her hands. Or Oto-san, who continued the long commutes in the same suit. If they saw me happily wearing cute clothing, perhaps both of them, it would be a joyous thing. But that, for me, I think would have been difficult.
ポテトが嫌いということ以上に難しいと。
Alright, I had to end it here. I have a feeling it's just probably 4 more chapters, but we can finish this tomorrow and start the next story. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed watching, and we're going to be reading more Narcissu soon. Hope you guys enjoy watching. Ciao.